Wait.
Of course, the doctor's squeezing this squeak toy right when we start.
Last time we started talking and we were muted. Are we muted? Because I don't want this to happen again.
No, we're not muted.
60 seconds, 90 seconds, and then can't hear you.
Yeah, so story of our lives. Here we go. Just turn down the sound over here. Okay, so that way we can see everybody in the chat. And I love seeing how many people we have joining us tonight. We have Gladsy that's looking forward to the story. We're going to be doing a live interpretation of our children's book, A Day at the Beach. And so we'll be interpreting that. It'll be a read aloud, and then I'll be interpreting that as Johnny reads it to you. And we're really excited to do that.
I'm reading it?
Yeah, you'll read it. And then Susie, happy to be here. Jane, so excited. Richard, nerding out with the glasses. Melissa loves a good story. Got my PJs on, all showered and ready to go. And then hello to everybody else that is joining us tonight. So it was really great to see everybody again. Last week we did skip a week for the live streams and for the group practice session, but we're re-energized and ready to go again. And so tonight we're going to be, of course, doing interpreting our children's book, A Day at the Beach. And afterwards, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of our favorite children's books that actually incorporate either deaf characters or sign language in one degree or another. And also, we'll be talking a little bit about the interpretation process. We're both professionally certified ASL interpreters. And if you have any questions about the field of interpreting or what it's like to interpret children's books or what it's like to be in the classroom or even in the medical field, we both have a lot of experience in both of those areas. And so please feel free to let us know if you have any questions in those regards, because we do want to make as much time as possible to answer any questions that you might have. So ask us anything, sign language related or not. And also, we're going to be doing, every week we have little fingerspelling receptive tests. And so I don't know how many we'll be able to get to tonight. We'll shoot for 5. And every time that we do one, we'll be giving away free access to our next workshop, which will be not this Friday, but the following Friday. And that will be held Friday at 5. Yeah, the 26th. It will be held 5 o'clock Pacific time.
I may or may not be here for that.
The workshops are really nice because we do them on Zoom, so we'll actually be able to interact with you face to face. And let's see here, what else we'll be doing?
You might be doing that one alone.
Oh.
I'll be at the doctor's appointment in LA.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You might be alone, right?
Okay, well, he'll be stuck with me.
Right, just have him.
I'm just going to glance through the comments really quick. Looks like Jerry, hello everyone from the state of South Carolina, where we eat rabbits, so keep your pets indoors. A little morbid.
Rabbits. I'm babysitting my mom's rabbit right now. They're getting their floors redone. And so I'm watching her rabbit. She's trying to get me to keep it, and he's like...
Oh, I forgot one more thing. Every week we try to get a challenge to see if we can get up to 50 likes on a live stream. And if we do reach it, we'll do a special giveaway. And so this week, if we get up to that 50 likes, then we'll be giving away a signed copy of our children's book. So there we go. One of these days, I'm going to get a better webcam, I promise. So if we get up there, then we'll pick somebody from random in the U.S. So we'll ship this to anyone that lives in the U.S. If we get to that threshold. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and answer questions. Are there any ASL tutors?
What's my hair? I like this one little part keeps going boink. Anyways, my contacts keep blurring. I'm like, ASL tutors. Okay, are there?
Jane, if you're watching, like the video now.
Are there any ASL tutors or tutoring companies you can recommend for beginners? So when it comes to tutoring or mentoring or anything like that, it's kind of hard to find. I don't know of any companies that do it. I know you can like hire like one-on-one people to do that. You can do that. They have ASL tutors, but that's in the college. So if you're taking like an ASL 1 class, ASL 2 class, they have the tutors there. But I don't know a lot of ways that you can do that outside of that, other than like private one-on-one mentoring or tutoring. You just, yeah.
Okay, one question I want to answer before we start the story. Let's see here. This is Kamina Batara. She's asking, can you tell us about your history of being an interpreter in the medical field? So I'll defer that to you. You do more medical interpreting than I do.
Okay, so medical interpreting, that's my profession. That's what I do. That's the focus of my career. Medical interpreting is a lot of fun. It's not for the faint of heart. I'll say that. There's a lot that goes into medical interpreting. Sometimes I refer myself as the Grim Reaper sometimes, because you have to convey that bad news and things like that happens. So, or you'll witness things, you'll see things if like it's an emergency situation and you show up, you don't know what you're going to walk into as a medical interpreter. Trust me, I've seen some things. But at the same time, I have a lot of fun. I meet so many different people, clients, nurses, doctors, just people, and you talk to them, you learn about them, their history, their life, especially our deaf clients. They'll just chat it up. And so you're like, okay, cool. And just like, and they'll tell you all about themselves. If you're interested, like if medical things like interest you to begin with, like me, I have experience in the medical field prior to being an interpreter, then that might be like, ooh, you know, and something that intrigues you. If you're like, I don't like blood, I don't want to see stuff, I would venture a different path. I would venture more like education, which is, me. I don't care for education. I get bored. It's so boring. But he loves education. So yeah. How many books have you written? One. This book took 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years to do. And it wasn't because, you know, it takes forever. I wrote the story in the very beginning. That was something I did privately. It was my own way of getting through, right after I had Paige. So it was my own way of getting through my postpartum depression thing that was going on. And it was something he like caught me one day as I was like typing it out. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm like, this is just no way. And he's like, what is that? I'm like, it's nothing. And so I had to like confess like what I was doing and stuff. And his mom's an author. That's kind of why I was quiet about it. So he was like, well, show me. So I showed him and stuff. And he's like, you know, we can actually get this published. And I'm like, I'm not really good with the words, you know? So I was like, no, but we sat down with his mom and she was like, we can make this happen. And so it was a process getting it edited, reviewed. The artwork is what took the longest. We had a friend, he's an amazing artist. He did it for us. And it was just finding what we wanted, how we wanted it, and everything. Then it came time to we published it ourselves through KDP. Now that we know how to do it, the next one won't take nearly as long. We can knock it out really quick. But it was a huge process. Go. Finally, we got it. But yeah, it was super. It was
definitely a learning experience.
It was a learning experience. But yeah, we are thinking about writing another book in the future. It's going to follow the same characters. It'll be like a series of stories, but we are eventually wanting to incorporate sign language into the book, or a deaf character, which that is a process all by itself, just because we want to make sure it's done right. So we'll be working with quite a few different deaf in our area that we're friends with, who can give their serious input and like tell us, you know, how to do it. So that way, culture wise and everything, that way it's done right. You know, don't want to be that person who's like, I'm going to write a story about, and there's going to be this deaf character. No, we want to make sure it's done right, culturally appropriate, and have a lot in our deaf community included in this process. So yeah, super cool. We're like really excited about it. I don't know if that's going to be the next book we do. I think we might come out with another one before we incorporate that, because that's going to be a separate process that'll take some time. But we do plan on writing more within the series itself, so that's gonna be fun. Oh man.
Okay. Yeah, probably a lot of work to write a book like this. So great to see it. Is the book available to buy online? So if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description down below, we have links to the paperback copies. We have an ebook available. It's actually available for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So that might be a fun way to go about it. And then we have a few signed copies. I think we're down to 2. And we'll be giving away 1 tonight, but you can get a signed copy from our website on aslbasics.com, which let me go ahead and throw up right here. So that's our.
Actually, that one is getting shipped out as well.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll have to order some more.
We need to
sign
order
them.
more.
So
I'm like, wait.
This will be the last one for a little while.
But that one's getting shipped out.
But yeah, so yeah, if you want to check it out, it's on Amazon and all of those things.
Eek. Hold on, I like this one. Have you had to do a lot of Zoom interpreting? Friend, let me tell you. So when COVID hit, now our company was not set up for the VRI interpreting. It was a project in the works, but we weren't set up for it yet. So when COVID hit and everything locked down, we were like, how are we going to get services out to our clients? We had to create this infrastructure, this VRI system within a matter of days. And so our company, like full blown, we were going through doing a bunch of research, contacting this person, contacting that person, different agencies, like how can we figure this out? And of course, Zoom was one of the major ways a lot of them were doing it. Schools, doctors' offices, colleges, they were using Zoom. So, which was a lot of that we had never done. You know, we're in-person interpreters, we're there. So it was an adjustment. It was a huge change, like having to okay, how do we do it? We have HIPAA laws that we have to take into account, confidentiality. A lot of things had to come into play with it because everybody was working from home. So there was, there was a lot that went into it. But yeah, we have been doing a lot on Zoom, but more and more of us are going back out into the field. I'm back out and when I say the field, I mean we're back out in the community because education is still online, at least for now. Our county just went into the red tier. If you're from California, we're doing like the 4-tier thing. It's like purple, red, orange, yellow. We just went from purple, which was like the strictest tier where like you can't do nothing, to the red. So a lot of our schools are going to be opening. So that means a lot of our interpreters are going to be going back out in person because which he's like, freedom, he's excited. But oh yeah.
I like the video. They deserve it. Thanks.
Do you want to go ahead and do the book? Because we're going to run out of time with that part of it.
Let's go ahead and do the book.
I'm reading it?
Yes, you're reading it.
I'm reading it. He picks the person who's not the best at reading to read the book. No,
and just a couple quick disclaimers, even though we both are professional interpreters. And ASL interpreting can be done many various ways. And
That's true.
A book could be translated or it could be interpreted very ASL, and it could also be done via PSE, which is a pitch and sign English, which follows a little more English structure. And there's also transliterating a book as well, which is word for word translation. So tonight we're going to be doing kind of a blend between ASL and PSE, and maybe you can pick up on that a little bit. We tend to interpret this way in education quite a bit, especially in our area, because for keying vocabulary, it's kind of important for children who are in hearing schools to learn some key vocabulary. And so we'll kind of blend in some of that PSE and follow some of that structure to some extent. But a lot of times you have to think of your intent. Is the intent to really put and create the story that is very immersive? Or are you trying to be more literal as far as, okay, this is what is expected of the student to learn from the story? And so tonight will be kind of a blend of both, where we'll be using ASL, we'll be using some mouth morphemes, we'll be using classifiers, we'll be using all of those ASL things, and also in some sections, there'll be some mouthing or some lip reading as well. And so just go ahead, just a couple disclaimers, something to look out for. And stories can be interpreted many different ways. And so now that we got that out of the way, if you have any questions about that, let us know, and we'll just go ahead and jump right into the book.
And I'll also say this too. One of the characters in the story, Emily, I'll throw this out there because many people don't know this. Our daughter's name is Emily. Her middle name is Paige, but she goes by Paige. Most of the women in his family go by their middle names, and she just so happens to go by her middle name. But her first name, who the story is for, is Emily. So.
And had we had a boy, his name would have been Ben.
Benjamin. Yeah. And the other character's name is Ben. So it's all related. Okay, here we go. Okay. Why is it I can interpret with no problem, but you make me read out loud and I get nervous?
Okay, so the thing about doing read alouds is you have to show the book.
I am not in education. That's why he's telling me that, because I'm like, okay, let me read this story. Okay, here I go. Here we go. Okay.
I should have had like the PDF version up on another screen.
That'd be cool.
Like screen shared it.
Hold
Anyways.
on. Wait, I'm gonna read
Hopefully
my
it's.
story. My story. I'm all nervous. Let me do it. Okay. Ben bursts into his sister's room. Wake up, Emily. It's beach day, Ben shouts. Yay! Exclaims Emily. Ben and Emily have been looking forward to beach day for a very long time. Ben and Emily raced down the stairs as fast as their little paws could carry them. Mama Fox could hear their little paws pitter-patter down the stairs. So she began making sandwiches to bring to the beach. Good morning, says Mama. Once you eat your breakfast, you can help Papa get everything ready for the beach. Ben and Emily gobble up their breakfast as fast as they can. After finishing, they dash outside to find Papa Fox. Papa is outside putting everything they need in the car for the beach. Good morning, kids, Papa says. Can you help me find what we need for the beach? Ben says, we need a blanket to sit on, towels to dry off with, and an umbrella to stay cool. Emily quickly adds, don't forget the sand toys. Oh, I almost dropped it. Sorry. After gathering everything they need, Mama goes outside with a picnic basket full of sandwiches and yummy cookies and gives them to Papa Fox so he can put them in the car. I think we are ready, says Papa. Wait, says Ben. I almost forgot my camera. Ben dashes back up the stairs and grabs his camera. Now that everyone is ready to go, they all get into the car. Everyone is bursting with excitement. I can't wait, Ben shouts. Then Emily starts chanting, beach day, beach day, beach day. Emily keeps looking out the car window for the smallest glimpse of the water. I know it's coming. I just know it, she whispers to herself. Look, I can see the water, Emily hollers with excitement. After Papa parks the car, they find the perfect place in the sand. Mama lays out the blanket while Papa sets up the umbrella. Meanwhile, Ben and Emily dump all of the sand toys out on the ground. Mama, can I please go swimming? Begs Emily. Sure, that sounds like fun. I'll go with you, says Mama. Are you coming too, Ben? No, I'm going to start working on my sandcastle, he answers. Ben starts digging and packing the sand with his shovel and pail. Mama and Emily watch Ben begin building the sandcastle. Emily looks at Mama and yells, Race you to the water, Mama! Mama and Emily run into the water together and begin to splash and play. While everyone else is busy swimming and digging, Papa sneaks a cookie out of the picnic basket. After a lot of hard work, Ben stands up proudly and says, I finished! My sandcastle is perfect. Just then, Ben looks up and sees a boy running towards his masterpiece. Ben shouts, Look out! But it was too late. As James Rabbit was running to catch his frisbee, he didn't see the sandcastle and crashed through it with his large feet. Smash! My sandcastle is ruined, Ben cries. I'm so sorry, says James. Please don't be sad. I'll help you fix it. It can't be fixed, cries Ben with his arms crossed. Papa comes over and sees that the sandcastle is gone. Oh no, what happened, boys? It was an accident, explains James. I didn't mean to crush his sandcastle. Can I help him build a new one? Together, we can make it even bigger than it was before. Papa says, I think that's a great idea. Ben wipes his tears and says, okay, let's do it. James and Ben work very hard. They build and build and build, and they build the biggest sandcastle anyone has ever seen. Mama and Emily come back from playing in the water and see the enormous sandcastle on the beach. Wow, shouts Emily. That's amazing. Thanks, says Ben, but I didn't build it by myself. My new friend helped me. It's very impressive, says Mama. I think we should take a picture, Papa says. Do you know where your camera is? In my bag, says Ben, running to get his camera. Ben hands the camera to Papa. Why don't you boys go stand next to the sandcastle? Ben and his new friend James stand next to their splendid sandcastle. Click! What a great picture, says Mama. The sun was beginning to set. It's going to get dark soon, says Papa. I'm afraid that means it's time to pack up and go home. Ben turns to James and says, Thanks for helping me build my new sandcastle. James replies, You're welcome. I think we made a pretty good team today. I think so too, says Ben, beaming with pride. Time for me to go home, but maybe we can play together again sometime. I'd like that, James says. Ben helps Papa pack up the car with sandy blankets, wet towels, and an empty picnic basket, a warm umbrella, and toys covered in sand. After coming home, Ben and Emily slowly walk up the stairs with tired paws and smiles on their faces. When they get to the top, Ben turns to Emily and says, with a tired whisper, Good night, Emily. Good night, Ben, Emily says with a yawn. Ben goes into his room and finds the picture Papa took with the camera and puts it in his photo album. With heavy eyes and a giant yawn, he whispers, Best beach day ever. So there it is. So I'll tell you, I haven't read that book in like 8 months. So I'm like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about that part. So anyways, so super cool. Very excited to give this away to somebody tonight, hopefully. But yeah, you can actually buy it on Amazon if you just look up A Day at the Beach. I think you can look it up that way.
Actually, the best and the easiest way is, well, first you can use the link in the description, but if you want to type in her name, Johnni Gorges. Yeah, her name.
Oh yeah, my name.
I think it'll pop up if you type my name, but hers will come up to the first just because you have a special spelling of your name.
That is true. My name is unique in how I spell it. So
glad everybody liked it.
Oh, I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah. It was a process to do it. Like you wouldn't think it would be, but when you do it for the first time, you're like, huh, and you learn a lot of stuff about it. But yeah, super cool.
You read it so well too.
Oh, thank you. Makes me.
Your dad's here.
Hi, Daddy. Okay, so we're at that time. Let's do the first name.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure.
So it's a woman's name. I'm gonna help you guys out here. Are we ready? So it's the Fingerspelling Challenge. It's a woman's name. Here we go.
Okay. It would help if it wasn't so bright.
Do it over here.
With my left hand? Ooh. So wrong.
He can't.
Well, okay, so here's the thing with my left hand. Like, not only am I right hand dominant, but I also have broken just about every finger in my left hand
True
at
statement.
one time or another. So I don't have full functionality of my fingers. That makes finger spelling really tricky.
There it is.
Okay, it looks like the first one on our end is Fabricio Praxia.
I'm like so bad with names. Yep. Awesome.
Okay, and again, like we do this every week, and sometimes the names pop up in different orders depending on your end compared to our end. So the first name that we see on our end was Fabricio.
So go ahead and send him an email that says like I won the giveaway. I won the fingerspelling challenge or whatever you want to say. Just let us know, and then he'll set you up with the workshop and the link and everything. Boop.
I wonder what I did with those. Shame, I was going to share some other children's books, the Moses series and The Sound of All Things, I Am Helen Keller. I had a stack of them, and I had them on that little table over there, but they're not there anymore.
I didn't touch them. I only took my books. Anyways, were you a boxer? No, he was a skater. So he would skateboard and, hey, well, what did you want me to say? It
was an unfortunate series of accidents.
With a skateboard. And he was a dancer, too. Well, he was a swing dancer. Like, that was how you broke away.
Man.
I like the fact that you used to do swing dancing. It was really cool. His parents are really good at it. Like, his parents are amazing at swing dancing. I love it. And then he kind of taught me a little bit, except he dropped me once, and that was the end of that game.
All right, so I'll be honest here. So you landed on your hand a lot. So, okay, one of my fingers I broke playing kickball as a kid. I caught the ball wrong, and it just went burp. This one I broke playing football, like Joe Montana style, 100 miles an hour, caught up the football just wrong because I got pushed as I was catching it.
And his
middle finger was from skateboarding, and actually this one I did twice because
I was to say you broke that one twice.
I was trying to learn how to do backflips, and I was doing it on dry grass. And when I went to go jump backwards, my feet slipped, and my finger ended up coming between my head and the ground. So that was another one. And I think this one was skateboarding as well. And
then did you break your thumb? I don't think you ever broke your thumb.
Thumb's good.
He's got a thumb. Yay.
Play my Nintendo.
But yeah, I love the fact that he used to do swing dancing because he was really good at it. Like the things he would do and stuff. Like he would do the whole where the person's in the air and all that and stuff. His parents are like super good at it. It's crazy. But yeah, we tried. I'm not the best at it. And then, like I said, when you drop somebody once,
Susie, this little finger went to skateboarding. This little finger went. Ouch.
Right, and that's really what happened. But yeah, some people like me. I've practiced, so I can fingerspell with both hands just as well. Like I can fingerspell with my left hand just as well. I can fingerspell with my right hand. But I practice to do that. But most people, they struggle because you're one hand dominant than the other.
And it is good to practice just because like if you're a parent or like you just have like something like you're carrying groceries or if you have a kid in your hand, it is kind of nice to be able to comfortably sign and fingerspell with your non-dominant hand. So it is kind of nice to have that flexibility because there's been times where my arm was in a sling and I had to give discourses and I had to give comments and have conversations with just my non-dominant
He dislocated his right shoulder. That was interesting.
Yeah, good time.
Good time.
Fortunately, that was before I made a living as an interpreter. Yeah. That was just us doing volunteer work at the time.
But yeah, it was pretty interesting. So
that's good. Holly says that she can fingerspell with both hands, but is faster with her right hand. We'll see you on Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing salsa. Yeah.
Probably
so we did salsa dancing once. We had a friend who taught us how to do it. It was cool because you had to dance with somebody you didn't come with. So it like forced you to get out of your comfort zone. He didn't really care for that too much. He was like, I came with her. I danced with her. My friend's like, not today. Luckily, we were all friends. We all knew each other anyways. But he was like, like it made him nervous. Like, no, it's okay. Does Paige respond to Emily? She does when she's in trouble.
When she's in trouble, so
because I'll do the first. You know how moms do the first, middle, and last name, just the first and middle name. She knows. But if I just yell like right now, if I said Emily, I don't think she would come to me.
Sometimes.
Really?
But she's usually either predominantly we call her Paige, and she responds to Paige. But every once in a while we'll call, like if we're serious and we want to get her attention, it's Emily Paige.
Emily Paige. My sister calls her Emmy, Emmy, Emmy. I'm trying to think. There's like other nicknames, but like my sister is the only one who calls her Emily. Like everybody else calls her Paige. My sister's like Emily.
I wonder if this will help. There we go. That way it's not blending into the lines. White on white's not good.
We started learning. So we have a question. When did we start learning? We started learning sign language July 2009.
No, it was June.
Was it June or the
July? We were married in May, and we started learning ASL like the next week.
Yeah, like we were married May 23rd, and the following week we started class, I think. Oh no, 2 weeks later, because it was after our honeymoon. So yeah, 2 weeks later we started our ASL class. So yeah, June 2009 is when we officially started.
Really quick, Anokina was asking, are there YouTube channels where they do something similar to this, read a story and sign it simultaneously? Yeah, there are. We have included some on our resources page on the website. I think I left a link in the description to our resources page. No, I didn't. So if you go to our website, at the very top, there's a resources page. And on there, we've included a bunch of YouTube channels that can be really helpful. And one of them is, I forget the name of it, but they have an entire series where they have the book, and then they have an interpreter, and it'll be read and sometimes even animated and signed simultaneously. So that can be a really great resource. If you are an interpreter or if you're a parent that wants to introduce sign language to your child, that can be a really great resource. It's going to bug me because I'm going to...
I can't see the comments.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you. Oh yeah, that's true. My dad calls her Cricket. I forgot about that. It's because when she was a baby and she sucked on her pacifier, it made this like little squeak. And so my dad says she sounded like a cricket. And so he's always called her Cricket ever since then. Yes, so we learned together.
Statewide Outreach Center Videos is one channel that will do that.
Statewide Outreach Center Videos?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's why I can never remember it.
So yeah, we did learn together. We started together, learned together, progressed together. You know what? No, I don't. And it's not because like I don't want to. Oh, sorry. You're like, don't what? Sorry. There's a question that asked if we read books to our daughter in ASL.
Yeah.
And it's not that I choose not to. It's just that I forget. Like we sign to her, but I don't like.
We sign to her all the time. She does watch a lot of ASL content.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we usually won't do like simultaneous interpretation, but we will do a lot of SimCom with her. And so she has this huge database of signs. Like you can turn your voice off and she can have a nice conversation with you.
With
but she was taught from birth.
My dad, he's hard of hearing, so he can't hear her voice. And it's that pitch. She's that high pitch, kind of a lot like me. My dad struggles to hear me too. He can hear him because his voice is deeper, but it's that higher tones that my dad struggles with his hearing aids on. So when my dad can't hear her, he'll tell her, he's like, I can't hear you. And she knows that about him. So she'll sign it. She'll go, oh. And then she'll sign whatever it is. Like if she's like, where's the hat? She'll sign it to him. She's like, where? And he's like, oh. And then he'll do what she needs or whatever. But it's interesting. Like kids are smart. Like she knows that my dad is not fully hearing. She knows that he struggles to hear and stuff, and she knows she has to. She relates that back to the sign, like, "Oh, Papa can't hear me. I have to sign to him." And so it's really cool. And kids, they pick up on it like quick, and they understand. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see here. There was a really quick one. Chris, do you know more sign languages? And so this is kind of a good opportunity because a lot of times we assume that there's just one sign language, but in reality, there is not only hundreds of sign languages, but there are even subsets of sign languages. And so here in the United States, it's pretty much just ASL and then subsets of that group. So you'll have Pidgin Sign Language, PSE, Signed Exact English, C Sign. And there's also other variations that are kind of a mixture between transliteration and ASL. But there are also many sign languages also that are used globally. When we lived in Southern California, we lived really close to the Mexican border, and we started learning a little LSM, Lenguaje de Señas de Mexicanos, or Mexicanos. But anyways, it's Mexican Sign Language, and so we were taught like "Cómo estás" and "Dios," and I think it was "Diablo," and just a few signs here and there, and it's kind of a good way to introduce or help people realize that sometimes sign languages are based off of the spoken language of a country, and so like you have initialized signs a lot. They're becoming less and less in ASL, for instance, but there is a lot of English initialized signs in ASL or even in other subsets of ASL.
For example, language.
For example.
Yeah, language is
language.
an English initialized sign. I struggle with saying that because of the L's. Well, that's recently changed to language. Same thing with culture. It's done with the C, has recently changed to culture. Example was with an E, now it's example. So there are a lot of those.
And there's hundreds of those signs.
And
person
changed.
Into person and perfect into perfect, and like kill with a K versus kill with
a lot of it has changed over the years, and it's going to continue to change. It's a progressive. It's like English changes, sign language changes too. It's one of those progressive languages.
And the other thing I was going to mention too is like on one hand you might have initialized signs, but also you have cultural signs. And so ASL has a lot of cultural signs, and other sign languages like Japanese Sign Language. It's not necessarily based off of the verbal language, but like the nice to meet you or konnichiwa is done with this handshake. And so in ASL, you would do nice to meet you, right? Like the two people coming together and meeting. Well, in Japanese Sign Language, you would bow to each other with those classifiers.
Cutest sign ever. Oh my goodness. I can't even with that sign. It's just adorable. Why won't this hand sanitizer come out?
That's an interesting question. So, ¿Cómo estás looked a lot like "How are you" in ASL. Our Mexican and American sign languages from similar roots. So there can be a little bit of overlap, and our experience was, not academic. It was people that we knew that were fluent in both ASL and LSM, and so they taught us some signs that were used in that area. And again, that was in Southern California, and they would have family that were near the border, and so they grew up and they learned how to speak both of those sign languages. And so I'm not sure as far as the roots, if they share common roots, but there can definitely be that blend. And in that case, there could be like Spanglish blends, right? There you have English and Spanish, and you have a lot of people that kind of bounce between or might live on the border that might blend the two languages together. And so the signs that we learned, they might have been that blend, or they could be pure LSM. We aren't necessarily sure, because that was just kind of, we knew a guy, right? Let's see here. So let's see here. Let's see here. I've been watching your YouTube videos all the time. My grandson, who's 2 years old, is learning. Thank you. Oh, that's great. And we always encourage anybody to be able to take the opportunity to learn sign language. Nobody that has ever learned sign language had said, "I regret learning this language." And really only good can come from it. And especially if you have kids. It's not only good for like hearing children. It's great to have that early communication. It's good for their cognitive development. It's good for them to be able to understand multiple languages and cultures and everything that goes along with that. But for deaf children in particular, this is something that gets talked about. I don't think it gits talked about quite enough, but language deprivation. And as educational interpreters, or even just those that have been involved within the deaf community for any amount of time, is very cognizant and very aware of language deprivation. And so this is basically when you have a deaf child that grows up without any language. And typically this happens with hearing parents that have a deaf child, and they decide, not to learn or not to teach their children ASL or any form of sign language. And so these kids grow up without having any language, and a lot of times they'll start school without any language. And I've had several students over the years that entered kindergarten with nothing, with no language, and so they're starting from scratch. And so if you're familiar with linguistics at all, and early childhood language acquisition, by the time a child is about 5 or 6 years old, they have about 14,000 words that they can use expressively. Receptively, they can understand up to 28,000 words. Now imagine you're a 5 or 6 year old that has never had that exposure to any form of language, and you're starting from essentially zero. And just think of how much catch up that is going to do. And so that child is going to be forever behind in the educational system. And so if you are, if you have a deaf child, we really encourage you to, I know it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it, not only to have that relationship with your child, but also to give your child the best chance possible to have success and to be able to have that form of communication, to have that language. So I don't mean to rant on too long about that, but that is something that we both as parents and interpreters and educators are very passionate about.
I knew if I did the sign, you'd think of the English word for it. That happens sometimes where I'm like, English word, English word, English word. It's over here. I could produce it here, but how do I say it in English? It's crazy. We'll do that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bernie is saying regretfully many deaf kids end up in special ed just because of the learning deficit. And if you haven't yet, Nyle DiMarco is kind of one of the more prominent faces of the deaf community, and he has a wonderful TED Talk. And he goes into really kind of how he was a rare case where he was a deaf child who had deaf parents who went to a deaf school. And, he had this very rich language from the get-go. And so, a lot of times children are kind of deprived of that. And so, he's talking about how it's important to provide that language to your children. And so. I believe, I hope I get the statistic right, but I think it's like 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents. And so it's a lot. It used to be 90%? More and more parents are learning ASL and learning sign language for their deaf children. However, that as you go back in time, that was less and less. And so, yeah.
That's a question on one of my test for.
What's that?
What is the percentage of deaf children born to hearing parents? That's actually a question on my test.
I think it's 95.
I can't remember.
I think it's
that's
95.
Bad. I'm like, oh no, it's one of those things I have to remember. Anyways, why didn't we have group practice last week? So last week was a chaotic mess for a lot of reasons for us, and it just wasn't going to happen. We were busy. We were burnt out. Like the week had built up from Monday to Wednesday. It had just built up, just things, just one after the other. And I told Chris, I said, I just can't do it tonight. I just can't do it. I can't. There's no way. My brain's not going to do it. It would not have been fair to you guys to see me like that, or him. He was burnt out too. So I was like, you know what? Let's just put a hiatus on it, and then come back. So, yeah. But yeah, it was one of those weeks.
Yeah, and so this is definitely something that we do on the side to try to help as many people as possible to learn the language and to get over the challenges of learning a new language and try to educate as much as we possibly can. But yeah, as far as like secular work, we both are full-time interpreters, and we also are working part-time closed captioners, real-time closed captioners.
Super cool, by the way.
Really fun, and it's an interesting skill to learn.
Very interesting skill. Okay, it's time for
another name.
I want to do it. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Mike, we're going to do a name. It's a man's name. Here we go.
Okay. While those answers come in, here we go. Quick statistics about hearing. NID CD more than 90%, just skimming the first search result. Yeah. And so the tricky thing about that is because you
Like, I
read
can't
different
remember.
sources, and that statistic does change a little bit over the years. Like
Yeah.
the linguistics book that I studied in
Here
college
it comes.
was from 2006, and the NID website is probably going to be the most up to date.
Susie.
Hey, congratulations, Susie.
Frank.
And so we'll go ahead and send me an email at chris@aslbasics.com.
There it is.
Right there, and just let me know that you won, and I'll go ahead and provide you the Zoom link and the password and everything for our next workshop that will be taking place the 26th, which will be a Friday, 5 o'clock Pacific time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very cool. I know. Somebody's like, I wasn't looking. Actually, you know what? Let me do the next one too, because our time is like, we're wrapping up, or what our time is going. Okay, so I'm going to do the next one. Ready? Now, this one's a little tricky. Every time I see this name, I always think of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a male name, man's name. Here we go. Okay.
It was 2 L's, by the way.
No, it's not. How is it 2? Oh, my bad. You know what it is, regardless. I knew what it was, regardless of the fact that I misspelled it.
Yeah, so it was Philip with 2 L's. I guess you could say Philippe.
Philippe. It could have been Philippe, whatever. True. They still got it, because look, they're still doing it. They know. So, okay. It's small where I'm seeing it, and to me it looks like Philippe. Well,
yeah, so there's a good maybe 4 feet from
me
her to the monitor.
To that monitor. So Philippe.
Okay, awesome. So Saminas.
Okay.
Was the winner?
Yeah.
Okay, so
she was the first one on my thing.
Same deal. Send me an email. Let me know you won, and then I'll go ahead and give you all the Zoom information to join our next workshop. Okay. Really quick, somebody was mentioning.
Nobody would have ever known it was misspelled had you not called me out on it.
Sorry. Love the road trip video. Beautiful, funny, and poor page moment.
Poor page moment?
So the trip to the Sequoias. So last week I released that video.
Oh, I'm like, poor page moment. Oh, road trip video.
And
you know what?
I was indecisive of whether or not I was going to publish that one, but because we tend to not necessarily catalog, but to record and kind of have something to go back to and remember. So the past year or so, I've been challenging myself to create like one minute like vacation videos, I guess you could call them. We call them little adventures. And so we'll go up to like the lake, and the lake that we have currently here is actually drained almost all the way to the bottom. And so we were hiking on the bottom of the lake, and we flew the drone, and we took some like hikes and stuff like that. But I did make the last one that we did, the Sequoia National Park. And so we tried to make that as informational as possible too. We talked about like Mora Rock, and we talked about.
I think we're gonna start doing. When I say we, I think it's like more me, because as you all know, I'll sit here and I'll jabber. I'll jabber till the cows come home. It don't matter. But it'll all kind of be related on his same channel, but it's going to be a lot like that, like these cool different places where we go, and we're going to incorporate signs related to those places. But like if like anyone's wanting to do like a fun road trip, or you're curious, like what can you do in Southern California, we're actually going to be buying a travel trailer.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some really cool trips that way. So we're going to be posting more videos and stuff about like really cool things you can do.
Yeah, and I'm a little indecisive as far as if I'm going to incorporate it as part of this channel, or if we're going to do a separate channel just to like as more of a travel thing. But we'll see. We're getting a lot of questions. Ooh, Lake Isabella. Yeah, we love Lake Isabella, but that's not the one. There's a lake at the bottom of the Sequoia National Park called Lake Kauai. And 3 rivers, and so that area right now is pretty much empty. I can
never spell Kauai. Oh well, whatever.
We did do that. We went there and we did another video. I haven't edited it or anything, but if I do publish another like traveling video, that will probably be the next one that we do. And we did do some FAQ videos and stuff while we were up there, so we got a lot to work on there. But yeah, anyway, so typically it'll fill up in the summer when all the snow melts. Right now, Man, the Sequoia Mountains
Full
or the
of
Sierra
snow.
Nevada mountains are just full of snow right
like
now.
when we went, like that video that we posted, and we were like looking for snow, and then we found some. Yeah, I wouldn't have to look for nothing. There is snow up there. But that was, yeah, sad moment for Paige. So if you haven't seen that video, what they're referring to is we learned that Paige gets car sick on that drive.
Yeah.
She was fine going up because she was asleep, but on the drive coming back down, I'm so grateful I have a headrest because she sits behind me and I'm driving and I hear her coughing. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, check on her. Why is she coughing? And just as he turns, it was like a volcano. And it hit the back of my headrest. And I'm like, oh my God. It would have been a mess. Had she, it would have been. So I had to pull over. It was so sad. And it was cold. It was just like, I had to get her out of the car.
First time that she like trooped.
Oh, it was a sad moment. So I'm like, Dramamine. Kids, Dramamine. You'll learn stuff. You'll learn stuff.
How would Paige be in doing a fingerspelling quiz for us? Too soon? So she actually was able to fingerspell her own name at 1.5, which really surprised us.
I mean, I'd have to tell her what letters to do. Like, okay, do Paige, but she would do it as I'd like Paige and P-A-I-G.
Yeah, I did a quick, like a TikTok or an Instagram or something like that, where like I was telling her the alphabet at random, and she would sign the letter, or I would show her the letter and she would voice the sign.
It's pretty cool.
Or voice the letter.
But
That was really cool. Kids can learn a lot earlier than you might give them credit for. In fact, when she turns 12 months old, she knew more signs than she could voice as in English words. And so she had 100 signs that she was able to communicate with, compared to maybe like 80 words at the time. And so, yeah, kids at that age pick up on sign language really quick, and it's nice to be able to have that kind of communication at that young of an age. And it really helps you not have to guess so much.
We could try to get her to do it. The only hard part is now she's at that age where she's like, I ain't your show monkey. And she gets like, I'll ask her like, I want you to sign this for me. And she's like, no, thank you. I'm like, it wasn't a question. I want you to do it. And she, no, thank you. Like, she's like, no. Like unless it's my dad. If it's my dad, she is like 100% like, I'll sign to you, Papa. Could you do a cooking episode? Really fascinating.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be
and
fun.
Like have like sign it like okay, we're gonna make this, and I'm gonna sign to you like everything you're gonna need, and it's your mother.
That was my mom's calling. So really quick.
Why is she calling you? She never calls you. Uh-oh. Well, because she always called me.
Okay, so really quick, I see that there's a lot of questions as far as the Wednesday Zoom sessions. And so ever since the pandemic started and all the schools got shut down and everything, starting April 1st of last year, we started hosting free ASL practice sessions for all the classes that were canceled and for all the colleges that were shut down. And since then, we've been doing that every week, every Wednesday, since April 1st of last year. And so they're free to join. Recently, we decided that we're going to distribute the Zoom link and the passcode through our newsletters, which is also free to sign up for. And so basically what we will do is we'll create breakout rooms. And so we'll try to have a theme every week, and then we'll create breakout rooms of maybe 3 or 4 people at similar skill levels. So oftentimes we'll get between 30 to 40, maybe 50 people. And so there's a lot of people that are brand new to learning. There's a lot of people that are just beginning. There's a lot of people that are kind of intermediate. And then you have a lot that are very skilled. And so no matter what your skill level is, there's a lot of people that you can work with. And so what we'll do is we'll create breakout rooms according to skill level. And you won't have more than 3 or 4 people in your breakout room. You'll have about 20 to 30 minutes to practice in your group. Voices off, and it can really help out if you haven't been able to find somebody else to practice with. And so that is something that we host for free every week. And if you'd like to join those, just go ahead and sign up for our newsletters, which I left a link in the description down below on how you can join those newsletters. And we send out the link every week as a reminder. How many people came on when you started making them? It was few. I think the first one we actually held in March, and then like one person literally showed up for the very first one, and then the next week it was 5, and then it was 10, and then it was 15, and the past few months we've been averaging between 30 and 50, and it kind of varies from week to week. Did you just keep doing the letters over and over again in front of her? When did you start noticing she was signing the letters with you? So when she was a baby, we would SimCom a lot with her. So we would voice milk and we would sign milk. And sometimes we would have the bottle of milk. So, hey, do you want milk? Milk you want? And we did a lot of that when she was really, really young. And, she started picking up signs like cat and things like that. And actually, it really helped her literacy. She started being able to recognize numbers and letters at 13 or 14 months old. It was really, really crazy. And again, like early childhood language acquisition, like usually at 2 years old, they're having like 2-word sentences, and at 3 words, they're like 3 or 4 or 5 words, and they're starting to get the syntax together. But like since she learned sign language simultaneously with English, her language development has actually been really ahead of the curve. And so if you have kids, like we definitely encourage you to go ahead and teach them some sign language. There's no harm in doing it. There's nothing but benefits. Let's see here. You need to do a 1-year anniversary themed live stream on the 31st. That would be fun. We do have a couple milestones coming up. Like one of them, I think, is we're about to hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty big. So we've been thinking about doing some kind of special live stream. If you have any ideas or you want anything specific, just let us know, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Diana was saying, I'm nervous about doing the practice sessions because I don't know a lot of signs. I would be afraid of making other signers upset. So that's been the really pleasant surprise since holding these weekly for the past year, is that everybody's been really patient. And just tonight, somebody that was wanted to be like a beginner intermediate got put into a group that was higher intermediate, and the 3 that were at the higher intermediates were super kind, very helpful. And we often say that, it's good to have a little bit of a mix. So if you're a little less skilled than somebody, that's a great opportunity to learn from them. If you're more skilled than somebody, that's a great opportunity to help that person become a better signer and even mentor them a little bit. Anyone a beginner like me? Absolutely. And let's see here. Beautiful, bless you guys. Show me the newborn class, Chris. Yeah, but maybe we can do a workshop about teaching children and baby sign language. It's been very pleasant for us.
How was your mom? Oh, well, you knew it was your mom, but your mom had a very funny question.
Wait until she's 4, more cooperative at 4. She's been great.
She's really good.
She's a little over 3 now.
Okay, what's been going on? I'm missing it because your mom's question was funny. It was about sign. She saw a sign, didn't know what it meant. I had to explain to her what it meant.
I think this is in like if you wanted Paige to do the fingerspelling, she'd be like, it'll cost you, Mom.
I want Panda.
Yeah, she's big on Panda Express.
Which I have a feeling that's where we're going tonight, because she's like,
and as far as teaching our daughter the ABCs and ASL, we would sing the alphabet with her from like pretty much day one, and we would sing ABC and we would sign it with her, and I think she could do the alphabet on her own pretty soon after like 12 months, like 13, 14 months. She could fingerspell and sing the alphabet song by herself. You
need to do a 1-year anniversary themed live stream on the 31st. Yeah, that was our first time, right? Our first live stream was on the 30th. It was April 1st because no, not our live stream, our group practice.
The group practice.
And only one person showed up for our very first group practice, and that was Jerry.
Oh yeah, I think it was Jerry.
It was Jerry. Jerry was the first one to show up, and you worked with Jerry for like 45 minutes. It was cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm all behind. I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this?
Okay, so we're getting close to the top of the hour. Should we do one more name to end the night?
Sure. I'll do it. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so either one of these right here.
That's funny. I'm gonna do the first one.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go. It's a man's name. Here we go. Ooh, I know, right?
Cindy says she loves Panda Express too.
It's also his
how do you
brother's name.
sign shoes? That's a really quick one. Shoes.
So that's his brother's name. How to make sure I spell it right.
How do you sign shoes as in plural? It's the same. Shoes.
Bam. Bam. Look at that. Skadoosh. Boom. First person who got it on my end. Jonathan.
Can we have the potty?
Yep.
Like it helps me.
You can go potty by yourself. I don't know what it is about this.
Come on.
Come on.
Very good. All right. Cool, guys. So I'm going to put, here it is. Chris@aslbasics.com. Go ahead and send him an email and let him know that you won, and then he'll get you all set up with the workshop. Did we ever hit 50 likes, by the way?
I'm looking at it. Looks like it's at 43.
43.
Really close.
Very close.
Really close. Oh, 44. We'll see.
But yeah, so Jonathan was the name. Awesome. But yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we end it for tonight?
I'm trying to think. Was there any other final questions?
There were.
I don't want to miss anybody.
Daddy, come on, Daddy.
You want to take her to the bathroom really fast?
Sure.
I'll give it like a couple minutes as I scroll back through the. Let me scroll back through the questions. So it's funny. I'm actually right now. I'm taking an ASL 1 class because part of my degree is I'm required to take ASL 1 through 4. I can challenge the class, but I ran out of time before I could submit my form to challenge the class. So I'm just taking the ASL 1 class, and I'm having so much fun. Like, the instructor didn't know right away, so like that I knew it. So the first assignment that we had was doing your alphabet. So you have to do your ABCs and introduce yourself. So I was like, oh, okay. So I recorded myself. I'm like, hey, how are you? My name is Johnny. My sign name is JM. It's nice to meet you. Here's my ABCs. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Done. His video response back to me was, what? He's like, wait, who are you? So like, I talked to him for a little bit. It was funny. But yeah, ASL class, ASL 1 is like really fun. Can you show?
You want a cookie?
Oh, shoes, sideways. It looks like this. Shoes.
Show.
Oh, show.
Show.
Oh, my bad. Show.
Yeah.
Show. I'm like,
okay. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. We gotta eat dinner ourselves.
I feel so bad. It's at 48.
Oh,
I might do it
man.
anyways.
Do you want to do it anyways?
I'm gonna do it anyways.
Okay.
It's at 48. I'm gonna do it anyways because
if you are a U.S. resident, let us know. Just drop it in the comments.
I mean, I'm gonna
just say yes.
Yeah, just say yes
if you live in the U.S. Just comment yes, and we'll pick somebody at random to give away a signed copy of our book.
Okay, here we go. Okay. You hear my dog squeaking his toy? Oh, mistakes. Ooh, here they come. Yes. Here we go. Da, 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 da. That's my nerdiness coming out. I like Final Fantasy 7. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to wait a couple minutes for everybody to get their yeses in before I do it. Otherwise, so sad.
Okay. So, how are we doing?
Yeah, so I've got the yeses that came in. So yeah, they're all coming in. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Also, my Batman nerd coming out.
I want to do a video like just of comic book characters, like Black Panther. I was just looking up because one of the classes that I was interpreting for today, they were watching the Black Panther, and there's 3 of them that are commonly used. So there is like Black Panther, there was Black Panther, and then
I like
there
that
was Black Panther.
Oh, that one's cool too. I like that one better.
So maybe one of these days I'll do a comic book video. I think that would be fun.
Boom, there it is.
Aaron Langwell. Okay, so same routine. Just go ahead and email me and let me know that you were the winner of the giveaway for the signed copy of our book. And if you would like to go check it out, we have it on Amazon. We left all the links for it in the description down below. You can get the paperback. You can get the ebook. You can get a signed autographed copy. And I also left a couple links in there that with behind the scenes of the creation process. If you ever want to create a children's book yourself, we share with you everything that we learned along the way. And we also linked an interview that we did from about 6-7 months ago when we launched the book. Oh, no, it's been a year, I think. I think we launched it in April or May of last year. So if you want to learn more about that, all those links are down below. And also, we didn't get a chance to talk about them tonight, but I did list a series of books that incorporate either deaf characters or sign language. There's an entire series of a child named Moses, and he goes through all these different situations. And then The Sound of All Things and I Am Helen Keller is a great book. I think it's Ordinary People Change the World, and they have like Jane Goodall, and they have Harriet Tubman, but Helen Keller is one of them as well. So if you have kids and you want to introduce them to into the culture, and also just Helen Keller as a figure, absolutely amazing. Deafblind, grew up in the mid 1800s, absolutely incredible person. So we encourage you to learn more about her. And so that's a great children's book for that.
I think
anything else? I think that's it.
I think that was it. All right, guys. It was good being with you guys tonight. We will see you next week, Wednesday at 5:45. And for those of you who are joining our group practice session at 5. I had to think about it. I'm like 5:30. No, that's not
Pacific.
True. Pacific time. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
See you
Bye,
later.
guys.
Bye.